dust in the universe to the waters in the womb I surf. I'm the all in all, from the atoms that exist in the sun to the atom that's in Genesis 1. I'm the all in all, from the first king that walked this globe to the last black slave they stole. I'm the all in all, every living thing you see, all of those things exist in me. I'm the all in all, from the depths of the sea to Mount Everest. Allah in the flesh, most benevolent. This physical form born from melanin. When electrical thought sparked intelligence. Ain't nothing existing I don't exist in. From the clouds in the heavens down to this skin. If you're doing the knowledge, you can follow jewels. In both cases, the basis, water molecules. Rain, sleet, snow, hailstorms come together the same way that my cells form. You don't see it yet, hard to fathom still. It's alike to the pyramids, how my atoms build. I existed
peace, y'all. This is God in them streets. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. Make sure y'all hit the like button and definitely share. Today is Understanding Cypher. Understanding in our lessons is known to be the best part. You know, it's the child or star of life. But I was also taught that understanding just means to simply be able to undergo and be left standing. Because there's a lot of things in your life that you're going to come encounter with. Like for instance, right now I'm going through a little something, you know, where I had to separate from my family and everything else. But it's all a part of life, because sometimes situations can become too toxic, even in relationships, and you need space or you need to move on. But anyway, I'm here today to basically go back through this fantastic, supreme video that my brother Saint Lads put out, that I know the world been waiting for. You know what I'm saying? The real and true story of the 18. Okay? Now, he just put that out the other day. And I would like to say thank y'all for really checking into the brother's platform, because his platform is one of the platforms that I originally wanted to tell the whole history, you know, of the 5% nation prior to us getting involved with the drug game and everything else. Because like I stated on his particular platform, the A-Team is a movement. And I'm going to be coming with a lot of facts and other channels and things that's showing, you know, how everything that I said out there at that time was real. Like for instance, how East New York was mainly, you know, in the late 60s when I got out there, most of the population was Italians, Jews, maybe a few Polacks or whatever. But Cypress Hills at that time, which was built in 1954, was predominantly white. So from that moment on, the consciousness and everything of the A-Team as a movement developed, because a lot of y'all don't understand the racism and the things that we went through in the late 60s and early 70s when I was growing up, even in New York City. So I'm going to go back into this particular video that Saint Lads did, and I'm going to elaborate further on some of the things that was said in that particular video.
Gen Pop, we the tip of the spear for this street lesson culture.
But he was one of the, you know, kind of upper echelon dudes, and he was getting ready to bag me for the chain You know what I'm saying? And Art Bark was sticking in the back. And somehow he must have seen the move, you know, because that's what made Art Bark so powerful, because of the whole Tomahawk shit in Brownsville and everything. So, you know, he guard for real, and he seen the move getting ready to go down. And all I remember him saying, "Yo, motherfuckers better not touch no guards," you know? And
Okay, we're gonna stop right there for 1 second. When we're talking about the great and supreme Art Bark. A lot of y'all don't know nothing about the education of Sonny Carson. I even heard a few things from some of his daughters about who I am. So let me tell you my history that starts out with acknowledging who Art Bark was and what the Tomahawks was all about. For one, I was first introduced to the Tomahawks at the age, and when I say introduced, I've been knew about them as a street gang, but introduced meaning knowing somebody personally. I know a couple of guys from my projects, you know, Priest, Sky is Paris, and even all of them. Later on, Priest became born Prince Phil Marshall. You know, Sky is Paris became Kasim, and a few others that was a part of that gangbang world. But how I really became attached to it was that I had a counselor in Cypress Hills Community Center. And at that time, I was still going to summer camp in Cypress Hill Community Center. So I had a counselor named Billy that was from Brownsville. And like they said in the comment section, that a lot of these gangs did start in Brownsville and Crown Heights. So the individual that was my counselor, Billy, you know, no homo, he was a good looking dude, straight hair, all that. Matter of fact, Black C. Shabay, who I'm going to bring up into this, told me that not too long ago that I think he ended up with a job on Rikers Island. Anyway, to proceed with the story, he took me at 12 years old for lunch break. He said, "Yo, my man just moved from out here from Brownsville, you know, and his government name is Glenn or whatever." He said, "Yo, I'm going to take you. You want to hang out with me?" I said, "Yeah." So he took me up on Linden Plaza. Linden Plaza opened up in 1971. Okay, so I was 12 years old. What's that? That's like 74. Okay, so I get up the plaza. I meet Black C. Shabay. But at that time, they were still on the borderline of gangbanging and becoming righteous. Okay? So, over in the pink houses, which was called the powerhouses, that's the first time that I seen them individuals come together before they had a gang fight or whatever. At that time, I remember Big Woody, a lot of people talking about, you know, Dead on Road, the Booty Bandit and all that, but y'all don't know nothing about that man, and I'm not taking up for him because that was his world, but what I'm going to say is he never tried to pull none of that on us. I learned how to box and a whole bunch of other things from him. But moving right along, you know, Woody, all of these, you know, individuals that was Tomahawks and Art Bark in them, you know, and also powerful at that time. Like I said, their original names from being in the Tomahawk was Champ and Little Champ. And if any of y'all watch The Education of Sonny Carson, that particular movie is about those two gangs in Brooklyn, the biggest ones at that time, which was the Tomahawks and the Jolly Stomppers. And the reason they had beef is because they would overlap into each other's communities. You know what I'm saying? Or Brownsville and Crown Heights, they got like a borderline with each other too. So they used to meet up in Pink Houses Community Center. Shout out to my homegirl for life, Joaquina. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could go back and check. On the side that Powerful and Artbark lived on, my girl forever for life, I seen her at DJ Watkins' old school event about a year ago down at the Masonic Hall. Taisha, you know, and Ty, all of them. Stay, you know, Iron. Allah bless the ones who return to the essence. Barsheen, you know, Danique, that's a city councilman out in Queens. Yeah, I could take y'all all the way back. You know, Supreme, all of them that lived on that side. And also shout out in the powerhouses back then. Black Earth, you know what I'm saying? And her God that produced it, you know, Hasid Abgar. So I was around for all that. Big Wise, I could go through so many names, you know. Father Ubika at that time changed his name to Sunshine, and it's just a whole long history with that. So once again, getting back to the gangbang phase, they was all Tomahawks at that time, and they used to meet in Pink Houses Community Center. So I was over there one day. That's when they had the Royce Union bicycles, you know, and I happened to have one with the sissy bar, you know, all the sparkles and everything. And at that time, it was a little greasy cat. He ended up changing his name. His government name was Wayne, but he had changed his name to Powerful a little bit later on down the line. But like I said, we was all very young, 12, 13, you know, 10, 11, all that like era of age. And he tried to rob me for my bike, but it didn't take place. But I remember going over there one day, and it was right before my man Black Sea Shabay was getting ready to go to a gang fight. And I never forget, he had this two-piece walking suit, powder blue. And those was the first years in which, you know, I began to become acquainted with Artbark and who he was. And not only did the Tomahawks have a lot to do with destroying Brownsville and parts of East New York, Artbark came along later on and created a coalition which was called Future. And this is why I say how tight me and him was, that even after the event that I explained on the bus when I was 15 years old, the number 10 coming from the Labor Day parade, you know, and he stopped, I think it was Bo Peep, one of them, like I said, I say upper echelon, because that's how I talk when I talk about this gangster, you know, mentality. And they was getting ready to bag me for the chain, but he seen I had a flag on, and he stopped that process. But when I came back home after I graduated from college in 1984, I was also an individual that was employed by Artbark through Operation Future, working, you know what I'm saying, as a security guard. Matter of fact, that big building that it used to be called Bank of Departs, that sit right there on East 98 in Lenox, that was being remodeled at that time, and Artbark had a contract with the developers and everything else where we did the security, and he bought a lot of jobs to a lot of individuals in Brownsville, East New York, Bed-Stuy, and all over when it came to the coalition. And on top of that, he was one of the first ones to bring back, you know, the ideal of having horses back in our community. That's why when you see the pictures now, I don't know if I'm the only one responsible for it, but I know I'll be putting a lot of pictures out there, and individuals be taking my pictures and running with it on other platforms, which I don't worry about nothing like that. You know, if anything, that's just spreading this message that I want to spread to y'all about how, you know, the knowledge of self and the 5 boroughs of New York City came about during my era of time, which was, you know, the mid-70s or the early going into the mid-70s, 73, 74, 75, 76 on up. So I was exposed first to them from the aspect of the gang life. And I'm going to tell you about another funny situation. But before we go into that, I'm going to play a little bit more of this actual great content that St. Lads put out there on this video. Okay, so let's make sure we get it popping.
You know, back then, most of us that was blacks that moved into those type of neighborhoods, you know, we had to fight the white boys. Matter of fact, my cousin and them, you know, from Albany Projects, which we gonna get into that when we get into the whole 5% thing. But when I first told them, because I was born in Bed-Stuy, you know, and I told them that we was moving out to East New York, the Cypress Hills back then.
Okay, so that's another thing to continue with, because like I said in that particular interview, my cousins and them lived in Albany Projects. I remember before I moved to Cypress, my mom used to walk me all over the creation. So we used to walk from 518 Quincy Street and Sumner Avenue all the way to Albany Projects. And my 2 older cousins, Boo Boo Butch, and my younger cousin, Michael, and I'm saying their government names first before I say the names that they got when they became 5%ers. So when I first went over there and told them that I was moving out to Cypress Hills, they was like, yo, man, you moving out to Queens, you know what I'm saying? You gonna be soft and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, man, that ain't no Queens. That's still Brooklyn. They say it's East New York, Brooklyn. But once again, in 1968, the majority of the project in Cypress Hills was still Caucasian. And especially a lot of Italians and Jews. And the same thing with pink houses, where they only had 2 buildings that the blacks was in. And just like in my projects, the front, Fountain side, Southern side, that's where the blacks was mainly before a lot of them moved to the back. So a lot of individuals that y'all know in Cypress now, that's the so-called originals of the back, the side, you know, over by Tottenham building with the Iron Horse, the Batman slide in the back over by Biz in them building, Rock, Stone, you know what I'm saying? All those individuals at one time was in the front of the project, either on the Southern side or on my side, the Fountain side. And then they began to migrate to the back when more blacks started moving in. But yeah, back then it was crazy, especially going to 214, because all those side blocks, Pine, Autumn, Hemlock, Eldridge Lane, all those was filled up. All those houses there along the conduit and everything else coming on in it, heading on from the conduit all the way to Linden Boulevard, where, you know, if you go down Lincoln now is all Linden Plaza, and across the street is pink houses. But all those blocks up in there with them houses now, that's owned by a lot of other individuals that came in there and bought them besides us. They the same complexion and pigmentation, but you know, they not the original people like us that was there and fought for, you know, our kind to be able to walk and move around in those neighborhoods. So, like I said, during those times, PS 214 that sit right there on Conduit Boulevard. Once again, another school. Half the school supposedly sit on the queen side, the other half sit on the other side, you know, and we used to catch hell from them older white boys. Yeah, the ones wearing the Fonzie jackets with, you know, like just like when they had the Fonz, the t-shirts with the cigarette pack rolled up, and, you know, they had the, whatever those, the Dufonte, however they did it with their hairstyles back then, with the leather jacket. Those were the type of individuals that was coming up beating on us that was still in elementary school. But guess when we got relief? We always got relief when they heard that the gangs was coming up there. When they heard the Tomahawks was coming up there, all those older teenage, you know, Caucasian white boys, as we said, no, you know, disrespect intended, they were the individuals that now were scared and would, you know, disappear. Yeah, we couldn't go over the city line. We used to had to cut out of school and run the city line. That's when they used to give you Zippo for 5 cents, 25 cents. You get 5 Zippos in a white bag with all the sugar, shake it up. You know what I'm saying? Across the street, they had the little not bodega, because they was being run by Caucasians at that time too. And I don't remember the guy's name, whether it was Sal or whatever, but I do know he used to make a big bucket of tuna fish, you know? And if you had a little bit of money, check this out. This is how ill it was. 52 cents got you a whole long hero. You understand? The one that come in the white bag with the, back then they had everything had the Italian symbol on it. So you get a whole hero for 52 cents. And he used to pack on the tuna fish, and it was good, you know. Had the green peppers, you know, little pickles up in, or a relish or whatever. But he used to hook it up. So back then, you was like a little don if you could afford to get a whole tuna fish sandwich, because I could take that same tuna fish sandwich and slice it, tell them to cut it 4 ways, and, you know, me and 3 other of my crew could eat. You know, individuals like Randolph Evans, you know, Lord bless him, return to the essence, and that's going to be definitely a big one up on my platform about, you know, the police killing him in 1976. But anyway, you know, that's how we first was moving, you know, all the pretty girls back then, you know, both Doreen Diller, who was LD's sister, and Doreen Harris, who, another one, rest in peace, my man, Gangsta Ip, Jimmy Harris' sister, you know, and you want to make sure you give them a piece of your sandwich, because that was all a part of the play. I was young and I already knew the now and later is, you know, whatever that was extra when it comes to the fine chicks, you know, you got to have something to offer. So I'm already in elementary school, moving and grooving in that area right there. But like I said, it was always known that when, you know, them gangs was coming up to school, all of these so-called bad Fonzarelli type, you know, characters, they would disappear, so they didn't want no problems with them. And that's why I say, once again, the gangs was formed in our communities back then to protect us from other individuals that didn't want us there. Most of those projects that was built, they was built for, you know, veterans, immigrant veterans coming home from the war. That's how that whole little project thing started. And they was made by developers at first, but then the city of New York came in, bought them up, and, you know, that was low income housing first for those veterans. So Brownsville, East New York was full back then Italians. And I'm going to play something later on when I do another video that the guard Ra sent me. Big up the Ra, you know what I'm saying, Tut little brother too. And he be sending me a lot of pictures and bringing up information. I got so much stuff to do. Shout out, to my man Lenny, Ducky, Shy King, you know what I'm saying, Black, Snow, another cat that was ill from up there, not from my project, but from off of Berman and Shepherd, Baby Sam, this other cat named Cypress, a whole bunch of them. Because I played ball in 72, with the East New York Ravens, Coach Sam, and he took over. That's what I'm saying. Y'all all got to go to my channel, Guarding Them Streets, and see what's really going on. Because everything I'm talking about and everything I gave St. Lads, all of those, videos is up there with that information. But it was an individual that first was, teaching us organized basketball, and his name was Ducky. But supposedly, and I want to keep it right and exact, because any of y'all that could come back in, put in my comment section from that time, anything I got, confused or whatever, straighten it out. But I'm not no out and out liar or faker, or like y'all young cats say nowadays, place it any cap on it. But anyway, Ducky, he had his son Woody, and I forgot his other oldest son, but his oldest son was already playing for Canarsie. I don't know whether that was the era with Larry Washington and all of them, and Skeet Fuller, Earl Fuller's brother, and everything else. But needless to say, he was our coach. And something took place where his wife, and all we know or heard was that Ducky went up there, to the church and found out the pastor was dealing with his wife, and he's supposed to, allegedly decapitate him. So we didn't see him no more. And that's when the other individual came in named Sam. And also shout out to the Boxhead twin. Shout out to my man Troy with the afro that played for St. Rita's, and him and Buzz Matthews and them, and they all ended up going to Christ the King High School and setting all type of records. But anyway, we was called the East New York Ravens. And right there in that park, we used to have our practice. As a matter of fact, I was playing at that time midgets, and Sidney Green and them, I think they might have been on the junior, probably the senior squad, and I think either Sam was his coach or assistant coach, but I know he ended up becoming the coach at Jeff. And besides Sidney Green, another cat, Bill Calhoun, came along, and he was nice and everything, all city. I think he might have went to Fordham and set a bunch of records. But up there at that time, there was a pool room right there on the corner. I think that's Shepherd, right across the street from 72. But 72 was one of the schools that, came up after the other schools that I'm talking about. So a lot of us that was from, the late 60s, beginning of the 70s, our, school for that area was PS 214. And later on, when they built 72, a lot of cats from the project started going to 72. Like my man Craig Nelson say that, was on the platform Triple Beam before, and I know he gonna get it back together. I just can't wait for me and him to do our interview, because all them young cats, they ended up becoming, OGs to a lot of these young cats that's acting like they don't know who I am. No, y'all don't know who I am, because I am who I am. But those individuals, they started going to 72, and then you had a few from the back. Is that PS 224 over there on? It's on Hagerman. I don't know exactly where. I want to say Hagerman and it's past Milford. That one might be Hagerman, Shepherd, or Berman, or Montauk, or something more on that side. And shout out to, I got so much content is crazy. And y'all, that was back then. You also had a crew on Montauk that was called the Montauk Chest Breakers, and we had a little beef with them. And like I said, I'm saving all these stories for later on down the line because I got so many of them. But anyway, at that time, like I said, 72 Park, that's where we first learned how to play organized basketball for the East New York Ravens, and Sam put us in the tournament called the George Rosenblum Tournament. And the George Rosenblum Tournament was played at the BRC. All of y'all know George Young, Mr. Formal, Gil Reynolds with the Vanguard Oilers, all of that back then. That's when I first met Fly Williams, Jocko, Phil Sellers, all them cats right there. Shout out to my man, another Brownsville legend, just came home, I think like after 34, 35, somewhere in that area. Wink. He was down with Baby Sam and them. And like I said, Baby Sam and them is originally from Shepherd and Berman. It's a whole crew of individuals up there. I did something on the Diner Boys, you know what I'm saying, that was from that area. But once again, a lot of y'all is not touching my platform. So I needed a bigger platform, and I was looking for the platform that would, mostly describe everything that I lived and talked about. So any of y'all individuals that's running around talking about, oh, we don't know who this Shabu is, he's not an official legend of Brooklyn, you are out your mind. You're out your mind. Because you know why? I've been through it step by step. And not just the criminal aspect, the guard aspect first, the criminal aspect, the going on to getting my degree, my education and everything. And like I said, I spoke about that before because my channel is mainly about bringing the reality of the true and living God back to the forefront, but it's also about the main reality. Whether you become a 5% Muslim, Christian, or whatever, you've got to make the right choices in life. Because if you make the wrong choices while you're young, then that could play a part in whatever positions you are able to be in through the rest of your life. Let's get back to this fantastic video interview that St. Laz did to me about the makeup of us coming about as the A-Team, better known, or should I reverse it and say the Law Team, aka better known as the A-Team.